Hey guys, what is up? Dirkiestig here. Today it's been a while, so today we're going to be doing just another ranking. I'm going to be ranking the top 10, my top 10 Monster Hunter monsters in all of Monster Hunter in the entire series before Wilds comes out. It's a very exciting time for Monster Hunter fans. Wilds is going to be out in about 2 days now from when I'm recording this, so I'm very excited. And before it came out, I wanted to do a video just kind of talking about my top 10 monsters of all time. So, because it could change based off of some of the monsters that are in Wilds. So, we'll have to see. Um, just a kind of brief history with my history with Monster Hunter, just in case you do not know me or know my experience. So that way you can kind of understand like why some monsters maybe aren't on here, like maybe I haven't fought them before. So I played all of World. That was my first Monster Hunter game. World and Iceborne. Played Rise and Sunbreak. I played most of GU. I did all of low rank and high rank, and I got about halfway through G rank and just haven't gotten back to it. So I haven't fought like some of the deviants and some of the other monsters yet. I played all of 3U, and for 4U I played. I think I did all a low rank, and I was like halfway through high rank, and I just haven't gotten back around to playing that one either. And then I've played all the stories too. So that's my kind of experience with Monster Hunter. So there's a lot of monsters that I haven't fought, but not too much to where I feel like I feel like I have a pretty decent knowledge where I could do my top 10 here. Pretty vast experience with Monster Hunter, but yeah, so that's that. That's that. And then again, this was a very hard list to make. Like really, I had no problem with my number one and my number two monster. Those two monsters are very easy for me to think of and very easy for me to put at those top two spots. Every other monster was really difficult to kind of think of because there's so many monsters that I wanted to put on here and so many monsters that I just couldn't, and I had to kind of debate with myself about what monsters I wanted to put on here. So if your favorite monster is not on here, don't worry about it. Chances are I like it. There's not very many monsters that I dislike, so if you're too stressed about your monster being not on the list, then just think of them as being number 11 and they just missed out, right? And then I think we'll all be happy. So without further ado, let's get into it. So coming in at number 10, this one kind of grew on me and surprised me a little bit, but we actually have Flaming Espinus, so that was cool. We actually have Flaming Espinus from Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. I know this is a monster that was from Frontier, but it came out in a title update for Sunbreak, and I fell in love with this monster. I found myself wanting to fight this monster a lot. I really liked a lot of the gear. I liked the hammer. That hammer was my main hammer that I used in Sunbreak. It just grew on me, and I had such a fun. It was probably one of my favorite monsters to fight with a group of random people online. Its super move grew on me so much, where it kind of like waddled on its hind legs, and then it would jump up and shoot the fireball behind it, and sometimes follow it up with a second one kind of going in front of it. I thought that was really fun super move, and kind of give you like the oh shit factor when it was charging it up. And I always felt like whenever you played with randoms, someone died and someone did not handle it very well, and someone was carting off of that 99% of the time, I noticed, which just made it very memorable whenever I played online. But man, it was just such a fun monster to fight. It really grew on me. The design, just everything about it was really cool. I liked the defense down. Defense down is something that doesn't get used very often, so having like defense down fireballs that also poison was really cool and not as annoying as the regular Espinus, where they can sometimes paralyze you, and in the end it just felt more fun and engaging than normal Espinus. So definitely a monster that really grew on me quickly, so definitely coming in at number 10 there, Flaming Espinus. Coming in at number 9, this is a monster from World, we have Namielle. I love this monster. This monster grew on me instantly, not over time. This was a monster that just is so unique looking and it looks so sick. It like the design is fantastic. The fight is a ton of fun. It's very unique with like the water and thunder elements that it possesses. Having this like monster that really wonderfully manipulates both of those elements. The fight itself and just like the way that the monster moves throughout the fight is really, really cool to see and very unique. Has a lot of really fun attacks. The monster obviously is very pretty, and like I really appreciate like the water armor that it gets, where it looks very colorful. At the and as it gets more water, it looks more and more colorful. And then once it uses its ultimate move, it gets rid of all its water on its body, and it looks kind of like all dried up and kind of gross looking. Like kind of reminded me of like coral or like a sponge. It was a really, really cool monster, and the arc tempered version made it even more fun to fight. Especially in that version of the fight, you have. I really loved the use of the terrain with how it would leave the water puddles on the ground, and that was something that you had to take advantage. You had to be careful of, especially in the arc tempered version. Not as much in the regular, but especially in the arc tempered. Where it could like kind of flap its wings or swipe its wings and mess with like the current and like kind of stop you if you're in a puddle of water, or obviously could like zap the puddle of water and then boom, there goes a lot of your health. And I love the sound design on its super move. Its super move was so satisfying to hear every time, and man, its arc tempered version made that move scary. So then you had the little like slinger shots, like the little sponge, like the moss or whatever it was, bright moss or water moss, I think is what they were, bright moss and water moss, that you could shoot on the ground that would soak it up. It just seems like they're kind of doing some of that type of stuff with wilds, which is cool, but just the way that it manipulated the environment kind of had to make you be careful of your positioning was something that I just really appreciated. And the monster is beautiful. The weapons are really cool that were unique. Everything, yeah, the armor is interesting, kind of like that Splatoon vibe, like evil Splatoon, right? But everything about that monster is really, really cool and very unique. So definitely a monster that I wanted to include on this list. Now, coming in at number 8, should be right down here. There it is. We have Shagaru Magala. This is a monster that I first encountered in Generations Ultimate, and then obviously eventually encountered in For You and Sunbreak. Man, I love everything about this monster. Its design, the way that, especially in For You, that it's woven into the story. Obviously, like, you know, the evolution from Gore to Shagmag, and then if it gets messed up, then then it becomes Chaotic Gore. Everything about this monster is awesome. The fight is incredible. The armor looks sick. The weapons look sick. I love Sanctuary. That's one of like kind of the big bummers about Sunbreak, is that Sanctuary didn't come back. Shagaru Magala's like special arena that it gets. And I hope that if it does come back in Wilds, it would be awesome to see Sanctuary again. That would be really cool to see Sanctuary be where we fight this monster if it comes back in Wilds, which is possible because Gore Magala's in. But man, I love this monster. Like everything about it, its design, its fight, it's phenomenal. And definitely a monster deserving of that number 8 spot. Coming in at 7, we have Lagiacrus, Laggy, whatever you want, whatever you call him. Everybody has like a different pronunciation of this guy, but Laggy is he's goated. Love Laggy. Everything about him, mainly in 3U. You might start to notice it later, but I really enjoyed my time with 3U. The underwater combat is different, but pretty fun once you get used to it, depending on the weapon that you play. I played Hammer and Sword and Shield, and both of those were okay underwater, mainly Hammer, but Laggy was just so much fun to fight. And it switching between like its land version and its underwater version of the fight, just really incredible. And GU brought him back. I hope that he comes into Wilds, whether it's in base game or a title update or the expansion. I hope that we see him in Wilds, obviously. I don't think there's anyone on the I don't think there's anyone that has played any of the old games that doesn't want to see Laggy come back, being like the lone flagship, I think, that didn't see, hasn't been in modern Monster Hunter post-World. So really, we really would love to see Laggy. I love its armor, I love its weapons. It's such a fun fight. He's a really cool design. He's a really cool monster. The alligator vibe that he has is awesome. Again, the fight underwater is so much fun. And learning that fight in 3U, both on land and in the water, was just a ton of fun. And it was a ton of fun to kind of get down and understand the rhythm and the flow of the fight. Getting at that point where it was like clockwork was very satisfying. Just everything about this monster is fantastic. Definitely one of my favorite flagship monsters. Definitely. Now, coming in at number 6, another 3U monster, another Leviathan. We have Ignactor. I love this fight for pretty much every reason that I love Laggy. The design's awesome. Love the armor. Weapons are cool. The fight is so much fun to learn and to master. I had such a good time learning the fight and getting used to it, and just like there was such this rhythm to it that I had while I was playing through 3U. Glacial Ignactor, I do think, makes the fight worse, but in terms of like the lava armor monsters, this is how you do it, right? Like, he's constantly going into the lava, or he's like, you know, sometimes he'll go through the fucking ceiling at you, which is awesome. And you know, obviously he's got the clack, right? And the beam, and everything about his fight is just so much fun. He's a really cool monster. I hope that we see him again soon at some point. Hopefully Wilds. This is a monster that I really love to see return. Just everything about this monster is just so much fun. And obviously it doesn't have that underwater fight aspect of the fight like Laggy does, but there's just something about Ignactor that just really, I just really love, and was one of my favorite fights coming away from 3U. 100%. Coming in at number 5, we have Duramboros. I love this guy. This guy is so much fun. I mean, what's not to love? He's this massive brute wyvern. He's got this massive hammer tail, big old humps on his back. He's covered in moss. Looks like he's lived in the forest where he's got these huge horns, and he's just like one of the largest monsters that you'll see in that game. That's not like a huge elder dragon, right? And he just starts spinning like a Beyblade, and you're like, oh, whoa, that's kind of crazy. And then all of a sudden he launches a bajillion, you know, he launches 100 feet high up in the air, and you're like, oh, you know, it's such a cool moment for such a monster that it's so unexpected. Like, if you go into this fight not knowing what you're getting into, it's going to be such a surprise for, like, if it comes back in Wilds or its expansion, which I really hope it does. It's just going to be, like, it's just one of those monsters that it's like, holy shit, you know, when you see it launch up in the air the first time, it's just one of those moments in Monster Hunter where it's like, this monster just did something so fucking cool that I can't even, like, you can't hate on it, right? Just like, goddamn, that was sick. And then I love breaking the back. Its back is very satisfying to hit. Breaking its tail is really fun to do. Just everything about this monster. Again, armor, weapons. It's just such a fun monster. And it's one of those monsters that I've really wanted to see come back for a long time. And obviously, I first encountered it in GU. Yeah, I'm not dumb, right? It's in GU. Yeah, it's in GU. I'm like 99% sure, but then obviously I fought it a lot in 3U, but awesome monster. And I would be very excited if it were to come back. So yeah, very fun fight. Now coming in at number 4, it should be right around here somewhere. There it is Barioth. Barioth is easily my favorite of the pseudo wyverns, the pseudo flying wyverns. So obviously that kind of spoils that the other two are not on this list, but man, I love Barioth so much. He is, to me, like, quite high above the other ones, in my opinion. Like, I love his design. The saber-tooth tiger aesthetic is awesome. Obviously, I first encountered him in Iceborne, but honestly, my favorite version of him is in 3U. I loved learning his fight in Iceborne. I loved fighting him in GU. I loved fighting him in Rise, but I really loved fighting him in 3U. Getting used to the fight again, like it's just one of those fights. To me, it just felt like a dance, right? Every time you fight Barioth in 3U, specifically, it just feels like a dance. And to this day, there's some monsters that do it well too. But to this day, I don't think that there is a single monster in the franchise that integrates the part-breaking mechanic into a fight as well as Barioth. And that's something that makes the fight so much fun, because it really feels like you're having an effect on the monster. Because it's kind of disappointing when you're going up against like a Rothian, right? And you cut off Rothian's tail and you're like, oh yeah, it can't poison me anymore, and then it does. Which, yeah, sure, maybe there's like some poison veins or whatever that are trying to go to the tail. It's not there, and so it's just coming out the back or whatever. Pause. But, but it doesn't feel as satisfying when it's like, oh dang, like breaking this part didn't really affect the fight as much as I was hoping it would. Barioth is not the case, right? Barioth starts out like super fast in peak physical condition, and it's like, shit, I really need to break something. I need to, and so you break his wings, and now he kind of stumbles whenever he tries to lunge at you. He stumbles, and it kind of slows him down a bit. You can break his fangs, and they weaken his ice attack, his ice spit attacks, his little cyclone attacks. It's just, I don't think that there's a monster that integrates part breaks into the fight as well as this guy. There's some monsters that, again, some monsters do it very well. I'm not saying that other monsters suck at it, but I think that I think that's one of the things that makes Barioth so satisfying. His armor set's cool. His weapons are pretty cool too. I think I like his weapons more than I like his armor, but he's just a really cool monster, and he's always a pleasure to fight, especially in 3U. So it's just really fun, and again, being able to have this like agency in the fight of, I need to break this part because it's actually going to affect the fight and make it easier for me, is something that's really cool. And I hope that they start to do a little bit more to make monsters really have these really have part breaks feel like they're actually a part of the fight and affecting the fight, rather than just like a progress monitor. Being like, oh hey, we're getting there. We broke 3 parts already, he must be getting close to dead, right? So I think that's something that I really, really like about Barioth. And that's one of the big reasons why I think he's at number 4 for me. Coming in at number 3. There he is. Astalos. Again, going to be a little bit of a spoiler for the top 2 here, but Astalos is my favorite of the final 4. I love this monster. Obviously, I first encountered this monster in GU, and then eventually saw it in Sunbreak. It looks beautiful in Sunbreak. Just want to say that. Can't wait for it to eventually be in like Wilds. Hopefully, that'd be awesome, or whatever game comes out after that. But man, this monster's just so much fun. I don't know what it is specifically. I think it's a cool design for a flying wyvern, right? It's not something that is common. Like, it's a bug flying wyvern, which is really cool. The design's awesome. I really appreciate how it takes a attack that a lot of monsters have and is kind of not boring necessarily, but not much is done with its like fireball type attack with its little lightning shot that then zigs and zags across the ground. It just makes it really engaging for, like, typically, you have like the Rothian fireball, which just shoots like one arrow, boom, 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 right? Whereas Astalos shoots it out and it goes, and zigzags across the ground, and he follows it up with the big orb, big lightning, orb after that. I love his like big super move. I love the ground pound move. I love how aggressive he is. It just makes the fight super fun. He has one of my favorite themes in the franchise for sure. It's always just a really fun time. His weapon and armor are some of my favorite weapon and armor sets in the series as well. I don't know. To me, it's just one of those monsters that is just incredible. And all the Fated 4 are really good, fight-wise and armor-wise, other than Gammoth, really. Unfortunately, I think Gammoth has like a very fight in comparison to the other 3, because the other 3 have such fun fights that Gammoth really feels like it got the short end of the stick. So I really hope that we get Gammoth as well. little side note, I really hope that we get Gammoth as well, so that way we can get an improved fight. Because I think there's a lot that could be done, and Gammoth's design is awesome. But back to Astalos, man, love this guy. Super fun, super aggressive, which just makes the fight super engaging. Even in GU is a ton of fun. I like it in Sunbreak as well, but I definitely, when I think of Astalos, I definitely think more of like the GU fight. But it's just a ton of fun to fight every time. Coming in at number 2, this might be kind of shocking for some people. I don't know how popular this monster is outside, but number 2 is Zamtrios, 100%. Zamtrios is awesome. Like I will never probably forget my first time fighting Zamtrios. Zamtrios is easily the coolest late early to early mid game monster that the series has ever put out. This monster is incredible. First of all, it's a fucking ice shark. That's awesome, right? Like, it looks cool right off the bat. It's this cool shark amphibian, apparently, and that's, swims through the ice with its dorsal fin sticking out of the ice. Awesome. It gets sick ice armor that it can put on that looks awesome. Like, what is there not to love? And then you're telling me it also just gets big as fuck and looks like a beach ball? Because why not? Dude, sign me up, right? Like, I was already, my first time fighting this monster, I was fighting it, I was like, okay, this thing looks pretty cool. And then to put ice armor on, I was like, okay, this shit's pretty badass. And then it got massive, and I was like, this is the best monster. Like, it's so cool. Like, the fact that we have a mid-game-ish, like an early mid-game monster that has 3 phases that are so distinct and so much fun to fight is incredible. Like, man, and I used him in story. I used the shit out of him in stories too as well. Love him. He's just so sick. Fighting him in 4U was awesome. I first met him in GU. He's such a fun fight. He's so much fun. He's so unique. I don't know how likely it is for him to be in Wilds. I hope that he'll be in an expansion. I know he's not going to be like a title update monster, but I hope that he'll be in the expansion. I hope that maybe he's a monster that hasn't been shown off and he's in the base game. I would be so happy. But I don't know how likely that is. I'm not thinking it's very likely, but man, this is one of my favorite monsters, and easily, I think the best early to mid game monster in the franchise. He's got so much going on, and then his armor and weapons are cool. Man, he's so sick. Coming in at number 1, if you know me, you probably know who this is gonna be. If you don't, then maybe you don't know. Coming in at number 1, it's Brachydios. It's Brachydios. And if we want to get even more crazy, it's Raging Brachy, right? From World. I'm just going to put them both there. This is the monster that made me fall in love with Monster Hunter. Straight up. I first played, my first experience with Monster Hunter was I hung out with some friends, and that day that I was hanging out with them, I guess they went, I don't know if 4U dropped that day or whatever, but I went with them to GameStop, and they both got a copy of 4U for the DS. I didn't have a DS at the time, but they both got a copy of 4U, and so my first experience with Monster Hunter was the opening of Durant Moran, and I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. And then eventually later, I got my hands on a copy of GU. A teacher in high school was getting ready to leave the high school, and she had some Lost and Found stuff. She's like, yeah, look through here if there's anything you want, grab it. And there was a copy of 3 Generations for the DS, and I was like, I think that's that series that I played that one time. My friends got that one time. I'll check it out, because I had a DS now. So I grabbed it, and I hated it. I did not like it. I played it for probably an hour or 2, and I just couldn't get it. I didn't have the urge to keep going, and I had no idea what I was doing, and I didn't want to do it anymore, so I stopped. And then eventually I got World. Played through about 130 hours of World, got up to Belcana and Iceborne, and then I lost all my save data. Did not want to play the series. I was like, fuck it. I had a good time with it. I felt like at the time that I was almost done with the game, and I had done almost everything that the game had to offer, so I wasn't too bitter about it, but I was pretty bitter. A couple months later, 5-6 months later, I'm like, fuck it. I want to play this game again. So I go through, start playing it again, and it starts clicking for me more. Like, even though I put 130 hours into it the first time, playing it that second time is what really kind of sunk its teeth into me and made me go, I love this game. And then I got to Bracky for the second time. I had fought him once already, and I liked him, but he didn't leave like too much of an impression. But that second time, he really did. I don't know, something about like the cutscene really, I was like, dude, this is awesome. The fight, there was a point in the fight for me where like we're in that big like central area in the Elder's Recess where there's those crystals that you can jump off of and knock down from the ceiling and knock onto the monster, and his theme's going and it's like dun, 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 you know, and like as that beat is going and like the theme, he's like pounding away on the ground to like literally to the beat as he's chasing my ass, and I was like, dude, like absolute cinema, you know? Right? Like it just like that was the moment where for me I fell in love with Monster Hunter. And then I fought Raging Bracky later, and I was it's the best monster in the game. So it was both of those monsters for me, both Brachydios and Raging Bracky. Like Brachydios was like that moment was what cemented my love for Monster Hunter as a series and world as a game. And then Raging Bracky comes in later, and the second phase theme is phenomenal. That last stand is so sick. The fight's so much fun. It's one of the most engaging fights in the game. It just, everything about it was just so much fun. And it was fun to see Bracky, and I even like fighting Bracky in GU and 3U. But for me, like World Bracky, even though like regular Bracky is not the hardest that he's ever been in regular World, he's a bit harder in the other games, but I'm sure Raging Bracky might be too. I'd actually don't think I've gotten for Raging Bracky in any of the old World games, but just both Bracky and Raging Bracky really just kind of cemented Monster Hunter as a series that I was going to be hooked on for years to come. And yeah, and obviously I love the armor, I love the weapons. Blast is so cool, the Slime Blight is so cool, like the fights are awesome. It's just, it was just so much fun, and I seriously, like, I don't know, I'm sure obviously at some point I still would have been in love with Monster Hunter and I still would have played more games, but Bracky is like, Bracky's that reason for me, that like that is why I am as in Monster Hunter as I am today, right? So easily my #1 monster, so that was very easy to come up with for my #1. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you agree or disagree how my list is. If like this is the worst list you've ever seen and you want me to like throw it in the fire and, you know, never look at this monstrosity again, or if you go, damn, that was perfect, that's what I would say. But I guess I do have some honorable mentions. I would like to say like Basilgeuse is one of those monsters that I easily would want to put up there. Shara Ishvalda for a final monster is my final monster in my first Monster Hunter game. I don't really count Xeno'jiiva. And like Shara Ishvalda coming out of the rocks is one of those moments that I'll probably never forget. Spirit Bomb. Fucking, it's got the, like Shara's got the final flash and the Spirit Bomb. Like, dude, nah, that shit's sick. Yeah, Mizu. Gore. Right, I mean, there's a lot of monsters that I could just start listing off monsters for days about like what I would put in as my honorable mention, but Malzeno, right? Like, there's so many monsters I could think of if I wanted to, but these are definitely the monsters that I think are my top 10. And who knows, like, even just with how hard this list was to make, even without Wilds, my opinion might change in like a couple months or even like a week or two, so. But at least for like some of those, like, you know, 8 through 7 probably, or 10 through 7, probably even 10 through 6. Oh man, yeah, no, I love this franchise. I can't wait for Wilds. Just 2 days away. Feels like two days too long. Should be out now. But man, I can't wait, and I hope you guys are looking forward to it too. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed watching my video. Hopefully I didn't ramble too bad. But thank you guys so much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.